Hey everybody, hope you're having a really good Thursday. I'm gonna just wait a little second here for a couple of people to come on in. Welcome, Adnan. I'm really excited to start this particular broadcast because I think this kind of goes to the heart of something a lot of people struggle with when it comes to their job search. Big picture, a lot of people, when they are out there and they're looking for their next opportunity, they're looking to find something better, they think that the place to get started with that is through, hey Rolex, is through the, answering the job postings. And here's a little fact for you that might, be a little surprising. Did you know that it's estimated that about 80% of all the jobs that are out there never get advertised? So when you go on to Monster or Indeed or any of these major job, sites, and you look through their postings, you need to understand that that's just like this much of what's out there. It's the tip of the iceberg in terms of the total number of opportunities that are there. And if you want to touch on what's underneath the surface, then that requires a little bit more. What I'm going to be talking about here is a way to tap into that other 80%. That other 80% of jobs and opportunities that are there that will never be advertised and will never sort of make it into those larger waters. The big advantage there is by going at it in a slightly different way and using a slightly different approach, you can consistently see much more in terms of interviews and results and even honestly getting a position created for you at a company that you want to be a part of. All of that kind of suddenly becomes part of the table and part of the conversation. So what's the first step? I mean, how do we get started here? My first recommendation is if you, let's say, have a company that you've always wanted to work with. Let's use an example. Say I want to work with Square. Square is, for those of you who don't know, it's a financial startup. It's a rival to PayPal, and they're experiencing exponential growth right now, and it would be a great time to jump on board. And I feel like I would be a great person to join that company and join that team. So say I want to do that. What's the first thing that I would do? What I would do, for starters, is do some research on figuring out who is going to be my future boss or supervisor there. So for example, if I'm a sales and marketing guy, I would run a search on Google. I would also use LinkedIn to figure out, is there a head of marketing there, a head of business development? Who's the go-to guy that if I landed a job there, that I would be reporting directly to? So that's step one. And a couple of strategies there that I would use. Google is great for that. You can pull up the company website. Oftentimes they'll list the staff there. There's usually a standard email convention that a company will use. It's usually something like first name, last name at company.com or similar. So you could find it out like that. It might require a little bit of detective work to figure that out and make sure that it's going to go to where it's going to go. That's one way. LinkedIn also. Pretty much everyone is on LinkedIn these days, so you can always run what's called an advanced search on LinkedIn. You could search by company title or job title, and that should pull up some great results as well and allow you to home in on at least one, maybe two highly targeted people that you're going to be ultimately contacting a little further down the line. So let's say you've done this work, you've got this contact information there, it's ready. What's the second step? The second thing that I would do is what's called a deep dive into the company. So the internet makes this really easy. What you want to do is find out as much as you possibly can about where this company that you want to work with, where they're at right now. What are the big challenges that they're facing? What are the major projects that they have right now? What's the whole game plan here? And ideally, as you do this research and you're collecting information, links, interviews, I know a client, by the way, who found out a lot about a company through a Reddit AMA that the founder had done. So as you're gathering this information, what you want to do, hey, how's it going? What you want to do is get really a read on where are they? Where's this company at right now? And ideally, how can I play a part? So for example, if I'm a sales and marketing guy and I'm noticing that the company that I want to be a part of wants to move into China, as part of their expansion efforts, and I just finished a project in China, well then there's a natural point of synchronicity there. There's something that I can definitely touch on and deliver that value to, right? So as you're out there, you're doing this deep dive, you're finding out about the company that you want to be a part of. Keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for those tidbits of information that'll give you a clue as to, oh, okay, I can really contribute and make a difference there. So that's step 2. You're going to make a deep dive, and no worries, at the end of this broadcast, I'm going to flip the camera so it'll list everything that I'm talking about here so you can fill in the blanks. So once you've done that deep dive, next thing that I would do, and here's the big one, okay, and this is going to require a little bit, hey, how's it going? This is going to require a little bit of legwork, but I promise you it's going to pay off. Now that you've done step 1 and 2, step 1, just to reiterate, is to find the contact information for your future boss, supervisor at the company that you want to work with. Step 2 was doing a deep dive into figuring out what this company is all about, what their current challenges are, and how you can contribute. And now you're going to do step 3, which is called a pre-interview project. Very simple. It can be as complex or as simple as you want to be. But what it basically boils down to is you want to create a little bit of a presentation. It could be something as simple as I've had clients create a 1-page MS Word document with like 4 bullet points that says, hey, these are the main areas of value that I can contribute to your company. I've had people who've taken it the other extreme, right? And what if the industry you want to break into is extremely difficult? Well, that's true, that is a good point. I actually think this strategy that we're talking about, which is avoiding job postings entirely and kind of using a strategy of figuring out the dream companies that you want to work with, figuring out the contact information, and then coming out with a value project, that'll really help, because here's the little secret is, right, so one thing that I would suggest for that, right? And look, here's the thing: it's never going to be 100%, right? There's going to be times when you're going to apply for something and it's not going to work for whatever reason because you don't know what the flip side looks like. But generally speaking, by going at it from a point of view of figuring out the company that you want to be a part of and then creating a bit of a project for that, that really helps, because even if you're kind of off base, right? Say you send over a project and let's say 40 to 50% of it is highly relevant. The other 40%, or 50% not so much. You get major points for initiative. You get major points for, taking the bull by the horns and wanting to make a difference. And that can really help, and that should resonate with the other side. If it doesn't, well, you know what? Two things. Number one, it could be that the culture of the company that you want to be a part of there wouldn't be a good fit for you, or maybe they don't recognize that kind of initiative. That's something that happens. And then the other thing is the time that you spend creating a bit of a pre-interview project is never really wasted, because if you think about it, there's usually broad parallels, right, between companies. So say I want to work for Square or a financial services company. Well, okay, if I create a little bit of a project for them to get me in the door, and for whatever reason it doesn't end up going anywhere, well, there's a bunch of other startups who are in the financial industry that I could probably pretty easily rejigger my project to, and then use the same kind of process to make inroads there. So assuming you've figured out the company or companies that you want to be a part of, assuming you've created this little pre-interview project. Again, like I said, it could be as simple or as complex as you want to be. You can make it a PowerPoint presentation. You can make it an MS Word presentation. But assuming you've got something like that in hand, the next step is to the contact, person that you've, information that you've gathered, send them a quick email. And what I would recommend is keeping it really, really simple, starting off saying, hey, I'm noticing that your company is dealing with challenge A, challenge B. I think that I could really contribute a lot of value in those areas. Paragraph 2, here's a quick breakdown of a project that I've attached or a presentation that I've attached that highlights the value that I can provide. And paragraph 3, very, very brief. Each of these should be like 1 or 2 lines, really. Paragraph 3, here's a little bit about myself, a little bit about my background. I look forward to hearing from you to discuss next steps. That's it. Short and sweet. Attach it. Send. generally speaking, you should see a major uptick in terms of the responses that you receive through using an approach like that, because it can really help to get you in the door at places that would never advertise for a job, or that aren't looking for it like that. The truth is, when we look at a stat like 80% of jobs go unadvertised, what they're really saying is companies prefer 80% of the time to bring in people from the inside. And sometimes that's a recommendation of a friend. Sometimes that's a colleague, a referral, what have you. But sometimes also it's people like this who take the initiative to sort of surpass the standard way of doing things and kind of show, hey, they raise their hand up and say, hey, I've got something here, I've got a unique background, I've got unique value, and I want to have a conversation about exactly what I can do to move the ball forward. So it can be a really powerful strategy. I'm gonna flip the camera over now so you can take a look at everything that I'm talking about at a glance. All right, so I'm gonna back up here a little bit. So if you want to take a screenshot, please go ahead. So here's a breakdown, right? Number one, identify your future boss or supervisor and use and get their contact information. So Google, of course, is great for that. Going to their website is great for that. Usually their email address follows a typical convention like first name, last name at company.com or similar. You can also use LinkedIn, and here's a great tip for LinkedIn. If you want to initiate contact with someone on LinkedIn for the first time, any of their premium services, any of their premium kind of accounts, I'll give you access to a certain amount of what's called in-mails. And in-mails allow you to send a direct message to anyone regardless of whether they're in your network or not. So, FYI, in terms of this strategy, it's a great opportunity to, once you've got that project set up, use an in-mail to reach out to them and send them that message. So you've got that contact information. Number two, do a deep dive to understand their challenges and how you can help. And number three, create that pre-interview project. Again, it could be as simple as a one-page MS Word document with a couple of really highly relevant bullet points that highlight the value that you can provide and what you want to do to help them move the ball forward, and again, just deliver that value. So you've got that there. Send it out to the contact. Keep it a really simple email, few lines. First section, hey, here's it going. Here are the challenges that I see you guys are facing. Step two, here's a project, break it down for them. Step three, here's a little bit about myself. And finally close with, I look forward to hearing from you for next steps. Deploy this strategy. Use it not just for your dream company, but for any other companies in that general wheelhouse that could benefit from a project like that. Again, I can promise you, as someone with over 10 years of experience in the industry, this approach is going to get you a lot further, a lot faster than simply answering those job postings. So if you like this information, if you think this information that I'm providing is helpful, here's a little shameless plug. If you look at the bottom of that screen, you're going to see a website, upgradeyourjob.com. If you go there right now, you can sign up for my private client list. Sign up and you'll get instant access to my 6-point checklist for landing a 6-figure job. These are some of the keys to the kingdom. These are some of the best strategies that I use every single day in working with my executive clients that, again, go to the heart of avoiding this whole sending your resume and wait approach and using better ways to go about it. So if you're interested in that, if you're interested in really getting an edge and conducting your search in a way that's going to get you ideally a better job in less time with more money, which is what we're all about, go to upgradeyourjob.com right now, sign up for my list, grab that checklist. It is going to be the most helpful thing that you do in your career this week. I certainly promise you that. I hope you guys have had a great session here. I hope what I'm saying has been helpful. I'll be back on Monday with some more great tips. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.